Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of The Fishing Teacher, and thanks a lot for checking out today's video. Going to give you guys some tips and advice on fishing the black frog today. Now, we've talked about frogs a little bit on the channel, but specifically I want to get into this black frog. We're coming up in black frog season, and I want to give you guys some good juice on that because I think it's going to add up to some exciting action for you guys. Guys, before we get started here, just wanted to give you the reminder about our Fish of the Moment lake map breakdowns. You guys know I'm working with Fish of the Moment, and we've got lake map breakdowns of all the major lakes across the country. It gives you 40 GPS waypoints and tips and advice on how to fish them. You can download straight to your fish finder. And if there's any lake you want that's not on the map, it's not on our list, we can do a virtual lesson with you and go over that lake. So I'll put the Fish of the Moment lake map breakdown in the description of this video. Much appreciated. Okay guys, here is one of the all-time funnest, best producing lures of all time from about May until August. So we're coming up on it, and that's a black frog. This is the Megabass Big Gabbit frog. A lot of different ones out there, but specifically what I want to talk about in this video is I want to give you tips and advice on the conditions where a black frog will outproduce anything else, because frogs, they come in a wide range of colors. Most of them, for the most part, you have three or really four primary frog colors. You got black, you got white, you got some type of a perch pattern, and maybe some type of a frog pattern that looks just like a leopard frog or a bullfrog or something like that. For me, out of all the frog fishing I've done across the country, I think black is the most productive. I've caught more fish and more good fish on a black frog than any other frog color out there. But in order for that to happen, you've got to have the right set of conditions. So that's what we're going to talk about here. First of all, we're going to talk about all the conditions necessary to have this bite pretty good. The first thing is you got to have the right water clarity, and the right water clarity for a frog is anything between like a minimum of a foot visibility and pretty much a maximum of 3 foot visibility. So there's a window of 1 to 3 feet that is really, really good for this frog. Now, you might be able to catch them in a little bit cleaner water under low light conditions, but for the most part, if you get clearer than 3 foot, they don't bite a frog very good. So 1 to 3 foot visibility is what you're looking for. The next thing you have to focus in on is shade. The key to catching frog fish on the black frog is a combination of that water visibility I just talked about in correlation with the other factors too, like the shade. You got to have, ideally 2 foot of visibility with shade pockets. That's going to be your ideal scenario. And the shade pockets, for the most part, is whatever shade is thrown off by shallow water cover, because this is a shallow water technique. So say, for example, if you're fishing back in a cove and you got maybe there's an overhanging tree in the water and the whole bank is sunny, except right underneath this overhanging tree there's a shade pocket maybe this big around. A lot of times those good fish and the bass in general, they will relate to that shade pocket and they use it as cover. And obviously the shade pocket changes throughout different times of the day. At some point of the day it may be on the left bank, some point it may be on the right bank. It may be different between 9 a.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning. This is something you sort of have to go by on the fly, but never pass up a shade pocket specifically on a sunny day. Now, on a cloudy day, you don't really have to have those shade pockets. If you've got a cloudy type rainy day, you can just cover the water with it. Basically throw the frog right on the bank. And guys, this is another key with the black frog here. Throw it right on the bank and start working it back off. And how far you work it off the bank is depending upon the water depth and the angle of the bank. The shallower the water, the flatter the bank. Fish it out a little bit further. If the bank drops off pretty sharp, you don't have to fish it as farther. But basically, I try to keep it around some type of cover. Now that cover could be shade, it could be wood, it could be rock, it could be around a grass edge, it could be around docks, whatever your lake has available. Thirdly, with that, guys, sky conditions too have an impact what we're talking about. Ideally, on a black frog, what I like is a little bit brighter conditions. If it's rainy and cloudy and sort of low light conditions or early, late in the day, you're going to find a white frog works better. But guys, for the black frog to really excel, you need a little bit more light intensity that creates that shade, because for whatever reason, that combination of brighter light intensity, the shade and cover, is what bass really key on the black frog more than anything else. Black frog, guys, also works really good in tannic water. If you guys fish Texas, Florida, any lakes that have grass, that have milfoil or hydrilla, maybe even up north, a black frog is hard to beat around grass. I've caught a lot of good fish on it up at Lake Champlain in New York and Vermont. I've caught good fish at Lake Okeechobee and everywhere in between with that. So the main thing, guys, is black frog is just it's just one of the best colors that you can choose out there. I mean, if I only had two colors of frogs, I would throw a black frog and a white frog, but I prefer the black frog. One of the things I think that a reason the black frog outproduces most other colors is a little bit more subtle, because you can imagine if you have a big bright white frog, let me see if I got one here. I'll show you the visual difference of this thing. If you got a white frog like this, now look at how much difference this looks. If this thing is up on the water and say you've got 2 to 3 foot of visibility versus the black frog next to it, the white is just, it's a lot more obtrusive. It stands out more, and the bass have to be in, I think, a pretty aggressive mode to hit something that's this obtrusive. But a black frog, it blends in. It blends in with the water clarity. It blends in with the shade, and it catches those fish that aren't near as aggressive as they normally would have to be. So anyway, guys, get you some black frogs. Like I said, fun way to fish them. We're coming up on great frog season. Again, I think frog fishing is best from about right now up until like July. There's still a lot of fish shallow feeding on frogs and bluegill and that type of stuff. It's just a really fun way to catch them. So hope it helps you guys out. We'll see y'all.